is the gatekeepers of the black community, just like they saw Al Sharpton and all the other, usual suspects. And that is a type of white supremacy in the sense that you've got the masses of the people that don't have access to the things that we need. But you've got the civil rights superstars who position themselves as the gatekeepers, or what I would call not so much black leaders, but Negro managers, right? They say, look, we have influence over this huge segment of black people. So in order for you to remain in the good graces of these people, you have to write us a check. And it doesn't mean that they're doing anything criminal necessarily with that money, but it does mean that you have to really, first of all, observe the fact that they're not really solving anything. They're like the healthcare industry where they just manage illness. They're not trying to cure anybody, right? If you get cured, then there's no need for the hospital. There's no need for the doctor. There's no need for medication. So they're not really able. They don't have the skill set, nor the resources, or the will to truly solve the problem, to really dig to the root of it. Because inherently they represent white supremacy, because their idea of improving the black community is that we can improve black people if we get white people on board, right? And maybe one day white folks will get on board, but even if they get on board, they're only going to get on board so far, because you got to understand, you live in a capitalist society. When with capitalism, they'll bring you in, like they're always happy to integrate you, but they will integrate you the same way a pimp will integrate a hoe. Like they'll integrate you the same way an employer will integrate an employee. They're not integrating you to run the company. They're integrating you to work for the company. They're not integrating you to own the land. They're integrating you to rent the land. They're not integrating you to be a producer. They're integrating you to be a consumer. So what you will in effect have, and that's why I pay attention now. Mark Lamont Hill works at that big white university temple, right? And he goes and he speaks all around the country to big white, white to crowds of white people who cheer him on. And there's a price to that. It does not mean Mark is a bad guy. I've known Mark for many, many years, and I think he's a brilliant guy, but he's not a person that can really, truly elevate the black community in a structured way in a capitalist society, because the people that will really move black people forward might be somebody that has let's say you created a committee with like Ice Cube and let me think here. I'm trying to think. Some brother with capital, the guy that has the $1 billion company in Chicago, and you pulled him, maybe Master P, maybe somebody like myself. Like we're the individuals that would actually understand what's necessary to truly play that game where you're looking eye to eye with the white man. They know how to play the game where your eyes are looking right at the testicles. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, I'm gonna massage your balls, and then you're gonna be nice to me, but I'll never be your equal. So white supremacy will always maintain itself, because I'm not even really truly trying to compete with you. I'm simply trying to coexist and be accepted by you. So with Black Lives Matter, one of the biggest challenges that people have with Black Lives Matter is that Black Lives Matter is not a black organization. Black Lives Matter is a white liberal organization in blackface. It's like if you go to China, you will find authentic Chinese restaurants in China. But then you'll also see McDonald's next to those restaurants, and they'll have some Chinese food in the McDonald's, because they're like, we're in China, so let's make it Chinese. Let's put some Chinese colors. I remember I was in China. The food's a little different. It's got different colors, different flavors. You would expect, right? But it's still McDonald's. It's just the Chinese version of McDonald's, which is different from an authentic Chinese restaurant. So Black Lives Matter is not an authentic black rooted organization rooted in the principles necessary to really elevate the black community. Black Lives Matter is the black version of white Marxism. All the founders are Marxists, right? Nothing wrong with Marxism. There's a lot of good ideas in Marxism, but there are those in the community who care about the community who don't want to be Marxists. Or if you read Black Lives Matter's statement, they're real clear. They tell you who they are. It's like the Joe Biden thing. They're not hiding this, right? If you read, you can see they pretty much go right into it on blacklivesmatter.org and explain what they care about, what they represent. So they're not necessarily evil or bad or corrupt. They're just not the solution that's going to elevate an entire community. They're there for black people that can align with their view of what the world should look like.
Is that good or bad for us as a whole?
I think it's good in the sense of using their access to white people to draw attention to certain issues that we might care about. I think that there are things that that we can all unify around, right? Like we all saw George Floyd, we agreed on that, but where they become bad for the community is they create this. It reminds me, it reminds me of, man. It makes me think about when I play. To connect with my sons. I started playing Call of Duty. Right, millions of people play this game. It's a great game, and one thing I had to learn was that when I'm shooting at a target, I can't get tunnel vision, like where I'm sitting looking at that target, because if you're focused on that one target, you can get hit from the left, the right, the back. You're not looking at all the things happening around you. Y'all ever play the game? I don't know if y'all ever seen it.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. If you get tunnel vision, where I'm gonna chase that guy down and I'm ADSing on him, like I'm not gonna see all. I'm gonna get shot in the head right from the side, right? So that's kind of what Black Lives Matter does to the Black community. It gets us focused on one target. Like all we're thinking about is this one particular thing, and then all this other shit's happening. All these terrible things are happening in our communities, and we're not even giving them any light of day, any attention at all. And the reason I connect that to white supremacy is because the people that decide where our attention is going to be don't come from our community. It's CNN. CNN starts talking about it, so we start talking about it. Yeah. So to cure white supremacy, we got to cure ourselves. We have to stop constantly caring about what everybody else thinks. Like I just stopped watching. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch hardly any mainstream media anymore, because I don't want them dragging me around by my nose, telling me what thing I should care about this week. Like that whole Asian thing, I didn't pay attention to that shit. That was stupid. That was completely manufactured and artificial and fake, period.
Yep. Indeed.
All right. Yeah, that was some powerful points. How do you feel about censorship? I think I don't know if you did like a conference with Rizza Islam, but how do you feel about Black, people now being censored all over Facebook, YouTube? And did you ever fear that, you will be one of those people that will be censored?
Oh, I already know it. I already am. I mean, I guess I just chose to not give a fuck. I just don't care, But when I put up a video, Farrakhan did his Savior's Day address, and we agreed to live stream it. And our YouTube channel got shut down for a month because of that. And so we just try to have Plan B and Plan C and Plan D in place, to deal with that. But what you're really looking at right now, man, is you're seeing right before your eyes, you're seeing a transition of power where you live in a technocracy, where the technocrats have all the money and all the power, and they have the right to decide which ideas are going to get out there, which ideas will remain suppressed. They have become the thought police. And many of them, they went to the same schools. They were indoctrinated into white liberal ideologies, through universities like Stanford and stuff like that. And basically, if you don't align with that view of the world, then they're going to apply, tons of double standards on you to get you eliminated and to suppress you, or to attack and shame and criticize and get you out of the conversation. And so, this is happening to Black people because what we're seeing, and we've always known this is something that I think people should understand, is that Black people are not really liberal. Black people are more on the conservative side, meaning that we're not Republicans, because Republicans have that ugly racial history, but we believe in things like family and fatherhood and the stuff that liberals kind of are shaky on, and because they're more into things like LGBT and feminism or whatever, right? And so a guy like, say, a Rizza Islam or Maj Touré, who came on yesterday, these guys don't fit into that, and so that's why their voices are consistently eliminated. And I think it's just reality, man. It's like I wish we could change that, but I don't know what we can do. I mean, other than just continue to move forward. I'm not going to back away from these guys. I just think that we have to have as many solutions out there as we possibly can that will allow us to continue to communicate, because they are coming. I know they're coming for me. I have no doubt. And they're gonna come for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, chess, not checkers. You gotta learn how to play the game, so we can go ahead and do what we gotta do to do what we gotta do. I want to talk about Diddy and Black Rob. Black Rob passed away a couple of days ago. Now, rest in peace to Black Rob. And it's funny because I had you on here a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about Diddy and his contract to corporate America, and you were giving him a lot of praise. And I asked you the question, well, given his history, do you think people should give him a break? And then Black Rob came out after the passing of DMX, and a lot of people went right at Diddy. In his passing, they went a lot right at him. So I would love to hear your perspective on that whole situation, Black Rob, and then Diddy's criticism as far as even his publishing. He should be doing something for him as a grown man. Like, what do you think about all that?
I didn't grow up in a world where a grown man is responsible for the life of another grown man. I just, Black Rob was not a little girl. He was a strong man. He was a great artist, and he made choices. E40 had that song about choices, right? Everybody got choices. And for us to solely talk about what Diddy did or did not do without talking about the impact of choices would be to almost be at a delusional level of neglect of personal responsibility in terms of how your life turns out. And so, when I think about that, I think, okay, maybe from an ethical standpoint, maybe Diddy could have done more. You look at Bad Boy. I don't know if I would have signed at Bad Boy, right? Because Bad Boy doesn't seem to produce a lot of successes. Like the counterexample to that might be Russell Simmons, who has produced numerous artists and comedians that have gone on to do great things. Diddy does not have that legacy. Even Biggie, didn't. Biggie met his demise, with Diddy. So Diddy has to be held accountable for that. But at the same time, I can't look at Black Rob's fate and say it was your responsibility to save him, or your responsibility to make sure he had health insurance. I also would love to have known more about.
Now it's time to take. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I was like, I guess not. Okay, I can keep going. You want me to keep going?
Yeah. Do you think, bro?
Okay, bet. All right. So I would have loved to have seen, when Black Rob, a lot of guys, what brothers got to understand is that a lot of the things you do in your 20s and 30s, it plays out in your 40s and 50s. A lot of the reason that you see a lot of guys around 50 years old starting to break down, whether it's, and again, I'm not judging at all, but you look at, Dr. Dre with the aneurysm, or you had your boy Nate Dogg who died young, and then, DMX, Black Rob, the list goes on and on and on. A lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of that is basically chickens coming home to roost. Unfortunately, the darker side of hip hop, unfortunately, it can promote a very unhealthy, self-destructive lifestyle, from everything in terms of smoking and drinking all day, having sex with every woman that you see, throwing away all your money, and you live for today. Yo Gotti had a song and it was a great song. I forgot what it was, but in the song, he literally had a verse that said, we're gonna ball today, fuck tomorrow. And that's the exact opposite of a mindset of somebody who is like an investor. An investor doesn't say fuck tomorrow. An investor says, I'm going to plant seeds today so I can live better tomorrow, right? And so we got to really kind of think about that in terms of what we allow to influence us. And so I just, my heart went out to Black Rob. I don't know him. I don't know his personal situation. I'm not in any way here to criticize him. We know about DMX and his trauma and the experiences he had. I read DMX's whole bio from the time he was born. This man, everything was stacked against him, starting with his father not wanting him to even be alive. Right. And you just kind of go down this path where this poor kid was put through all kinds of hell that we can't even imagine. But the thing about it, though, is that when you get in your 20s, there's a point where you become conscious of your trauma. And that's when you do have a choice to make. It's like, for example, my friend had a baby, and one day her baby came in and laid down on the bed and handed his mama a diaper and said, change me. And she said, that's when I realized he needed to be potty trained, because the day a baby can tell you he needs to be changed is when he don't need to be wearing diapers no more. Right. So my point on this is to say that the moment you're able to tell me a story about your trauma, the moment you're able to acknowledge, like, okay, I messed up because this happened. My mama abandoned me. This happened when I was 5. My daddy did this to me, that to me. Well, the minute you're able to kind of conceptualize all that is the minute you are able to make a choice. You're able to decide, look, I need to go get some therapy so I can figure all this out and fix all this. DMX had access to everything. There was nothing he didn't have access to. And at that point, the question is, what choices were made that led to what we saw publicly? So these things don't happen by accident. Success does not happen by accident, and failure doesn't happen by accident. It all comes back to choices.
But that's some great points you made, because we kind of made the exact same point yesterday.